Winamp. It really whips the llama's ass.
Absolutely. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Morning. Yeah, it feels like I'm barging in on a daytime event that I'm not used to. It's very bright in your space today.
I've got the house lights on.
Usually it's kind of like moody and sultry.
None of that. Don't have time for that today.
Time straight to it.
Straight to it.
No soft talk.
The llama shall have what it demands.
Title.
What's happening over there in Portland?
I filmed a really cool video yesterday. I had mentioned I went to that friend's shop previously, David. He might listen to this, I'm not sure.
Hello, David.
He really liked your lamellos and bought those and was using those.
Oh,
he had a whole
cool.
bunch of them. Yeah. So, yeah, I went there just to hang out and see his shop and stuff. And then I walked away going, I really wanted to do like shop tour videos. Like, I just feel like there's cool spaces and like things I want to see potentially. And so I threw that at him and he's like, yeah, let's do it. So we just did like a 2-hour recording yesterday. The simplest version of it is like they do kind of like automation and robotics of certain types. And just like the coolest hacks on like his Avid CNC and like.
Yeah, okay. This is the friend you mentioned recently who does the like automation,
same guy.
integration stuff. Yeah, cool. And thus,
Yep.
you got to play with the UR.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I did. Oh, yeah. In the morning, I also went, and I didn't even put that down. My friend Chester invited me to go to like the introductory training class to learn how to use a UR robot.
Are these were separate events?
Yeah, I know, right? Separate things, same day. It was pretty good. Yesterday was busy as hell, but it was very fun.
That's awesome. Well, was that your first time playing with a UR? Cobot?
I've free driven one around before at a trade show.
Okay.
Where they're like, oh, come push the cobot around, and I've done that, but like, I don't know, that's not really much of anything. So it was a self-guided training for 3 hours where basically you learn how to make a program.
Yeah.
And then do, slightly more progressive things where like you pick up a block and then you stack a block and move it. And then you do like an if statement to only do a certain amount of movements and then have it raise its hand when it's done, which is, cool, fun, simple. And I got and like a super knowledgeable person sitting there. So he knew kind of our backgrounds. And like, I was like, well, I'm always trying to figure out ways to throw one of these into my shop and can never quite figure out how to do it. So I think for me, the reason to go is to have the chance to wrap my mind around what it's like, instead of having to like somehow either have a salesperson out or like buy one to learn how to do it. So yeah, it's a good experience. It's fun.
That's cool. What's the interface
Field trip.
like? Could you now pick it up?
An iPad?
No, I know what it looks like, but like, could you, if you had a UR delivered today, could you like fend for yourself to sort of nut out its first little job?
The thing that I have no concept of yet, and I know it's probably maybe documented somewhere, YouTube-ish type stuff, is like if I wanted to put it on the YCM, how? He said they have 18 ins and outs.
Yeah. Is in the actual like.
The thing I always think about with the YCM is like if I wanted it to, let's say, do that thing that Lights Out did for IMTS with 26 different parts. Like I don't have the memory for that, internal memory. So like they'd have to be like the simplest parts ever, or I just have to, not have such a dynamic setup, which I don't even think would work. Like we don't have the space. Like that's another weird thing is like the space in front of our mill right now is like pretty cramped. So I don't even know how a robot would fit in there. So it's all just kind of dreams and
No, sure.
Fun.
It's cool to get hands on it.
Oh, I'd say the thing that neither of us really knew is, I know I mentioned at the end, because, he's trying to sell us robots. So he's like, oh, is this something you're thinking about? And I'm like, oh, always. But I don't really know, unless they half in price, like, I can't really justify this kind of thing soon. And he's like, what about an industrial robot? And I was like, I mean, isn't it about the same cost? He's like, no, they're way less. So like his example was a really small kind of competing, I think it's 5 kilogram industrial robot. And he kept quoting Epson, like the printer brand robots, was $7,000.
Yeah.
For an industrial style one.
Kilo. Yeah.
And I had no concept they were that low cost.
What?
For like a known brand.
Do you have the same regs there, though, that industrial robots have to be, like, shielded and stuff?
It's still unsafe. Like, it's not good, but there's ways to get around it. You can put little boundaries. You can put places where you don't go inside of. They're not just, like, loose cannons, generally, but they're not going to stop because they don't feel at all.
Yeah, there's no feedback. Yep.
They don't have feelings. So that was kind of interesting to hear in his take. But the other two things I think maybe that really set the two apart, and maybe all of this, we kept asking questions about, can we do this offline? Does it have to be on this iPad thing? Which wasn't really terrible, but like for both of our sakes, it was like, I don't want to sit in front of this and try to figure out how to program a job. I want to do it and then like dump it on there and tweak it. And his take was like, well, UR doesn't really believe in that. Because all of the positional things are super precise and you need to kind of like waypoint them on the machine. And he said, it is possible, but most people don't do it that way. And then on the contrast, you can do that with industrial robots and almost all of it's programmed through like a laptop. So you program it and then you walk away.
Exactly the experience I had when I looked into URs, so many years ago now, for welding. When we used to make metal products, I wanted one as a welding solution. And I went to a demo went and saw a demo of a welding setup, and I had pretty much exactly the same question and issue of like, hey, I've got really good CAD models and robust, geometry of what I'm trying to achieve here. Can't I just like waypoint it through a CAD model like a CNC machine? And they're like, oh no, you set up your fixture and then you do do. And
it just seems so doopy to me. Like,
I kind of get it as in like, they're selling these things to metal fabrication shops who don't use CAD, aren't, as tech focused maybe, and they just want an operator to be able to stand there at the bench and go, beep, 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 beep. Okay, go, repeat what I just did. So I totally get that side of it. I think that side of it's cool. But that was a bit of a hurdle for me. At the time, I was like, no, on a computer, please. Makes so much more sense.
Okay, Rick, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Robots. Oh,
I think we closed out
robots.
the Cobot robot chapter.
Yeah, it's good day of robots yesterday.
Awesome. Lucky you.
Yeah, it was a good day. So you've also leapfrogging the good Instagram, view count, basically. I mean, I have some okay engagement, but it's all, like, most of it, oddly enough, is like, do you get that little checkbox where it's like, promote to Facebook at the bottom when you post a reel on Instagram?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I cannot find it anywhere, so it's like not actually a post that I can tell. It's like, when you're on Facebook, it says, this is an Instagram reel. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
So I have looked everywhere and I cannot find. Now my mic is falling. This is lovely. I cannot find anywhere where I can see these videos going moderately viral, like really stupid, basic videos getting millions of views on Facebook.
I was really surprised to see the view count on that mill stop video, magnetic stop thing.
I know, right?
Hilarious.
I kind of understand it, honestly.
Do you? Why?
Based on what all the comments that you also commented on of these insecure men.
What are you calling me?
Not Not you. You were defending. Remember the stupid forklift video I had a while back?
Yes.
That last year, I think.
Forklift video.
Same thing. I made no claims of like this is the best thing. This is what you should use. I just was showing a thing that I bought that I was interested in. I snapped this cool new idea of a work stop from High Fly CNC, a guy named Ed in the UK that I'd seen on Instagram. Other Insta machinists have bought it and used it. I thought it was cool. I bought one from him. I am not expecting it to give me sub-micron tolerances, but every dumb thought we should throw it away because it's magnetic.
Man. Yes.
Yeah. It's not what they're used to. It's not what they're used to seeing. So it's automatically trash and it will never repeat. And there's going to be metal chips in it. And
yeah, just a hilarious
not using it for production
level of just, I don't know. As I said in my comment, what's with the bloody, like, just the ungenerous contributions? Like, why?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I know this is the internet, but honestly, I need to talk to Susie, the Scottish therapist, about this to understand, like, why do people comment in this way? Like, what's in it for someone to contribute in that manner?
They just have no care that it results to a human. And, 90% of the time we've had this discussion, what we used to call eggheads on Twitter, right? It's like people that have no content, they contribute nothing else. They just think that they have, I don't even think, as my take. It's like they're just puking out, usually like vitriolic, just junk. And there's some, I engaged with a decent amount of them. At one point I was just like, I'm going to let them just keep ranting. And the reason why I get so many views is I have a friend that has this experience. Joe has had a lot of viral videos. It's hate comments, and not like hate, like I'm going to kind of whack you. It's I cannot help myself. It's engagement bait, I guess, even though that's never what I intended. I was just genuinely like, hey, other Insta machinists that make something, I like your thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that was it. So anyway, that's one reason why the videos went well, but others, it's just like, it seems to be hitting the Facebook algorithm. It's like really needy for decent content or something, I guess. And it just has been going off for some reason, but of no gain for us, like it's not like it's like really beneficial. So
yeah. Same.
Yay.
I've had good, steady, generally on my new videos that I'm making, pretty good engagement. Happy with that. But I also had one silly video, which was a repost from years ago, 8 years ago, that went nuts, and this hit like 1.7 million views or something. But the 200 and something comments on that are all very wholesome and positive, thankfully.
Yeah,
I didn't trigger the eggheads with mine, but
didn't trigger the eggheads. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's a recipe. If you want good content, like good engagement and high views, do something that's mildly infuriating to people. Like, have you ever seen, there's this very viral woman that like takes a caliper and like
just use the pointy bits on the end of your calipers to line up your hole.
Uses it as like a center punch with a hammer. I can't watch it. I've never commented on it, but I can't watch it. Like, I think they're Midatoyu too.
Yeah.
And it's just so viral because people like us that can't filter are just like, wow, what are you? I'm twitching.
That's awesome. It's been good little run on the gram. I did have a moment this week when I saw like the sort of the dead eyes of your new oligarch overlords in the inauguration press photos.
Voldemort.
Oh my gosh. And I was just like, I have to get off this fucking platform. But meanwhile, the platform is doing, basically runs our business. Well, that's how it feels anyway, in terms of engagement and finding new customers and engaging old customers and like Yeah, there's people commenting on our videos who are like, oh, I remember this when you posted it 8 years ago. And then new people are like, oh, awesome. So,
Yeah, you've had some, I said it last time, but they're really great. I don't know, not really like history of always, but it's just your style, honestly, the way you cut stuff. And it's like naturally engaging, even though it's not like necessarily keeping somebody completely entertained by the new style of like booms and clashes and constant content. It's just jump cuts, yeah. But without the chaos most of the time.
I'll do some more zoom ins just for you.
I just want more explosions, actually.
Explosions. I did find my new content creation muse the other night. Actually, I'll put a link in the show notes to this. I think he's an Italian guy. Just the most beautifully unhinged videos I've ever seen. They're wonderful and quite inspiring. I think if I ever do start an OnlyFans, like it'll be inspired by this guy.
Subscribe now. Like Butter After Dark starring Jim as the Dowel Finisher.
Just wonderful.
I get my friend to start a woodworking one, and I thought he should call it Only Sands. Been doing more nesting in Fusion. The last time I complained about this was it's the same client. We don't do this often anymore.
Okay.
And it's cabinet parts. There's really absolutely nothing wrong with the client's projects files. And they actually commented on, hey, I found your videos and they were helpful on Fusion. And they're providing us files in Fusion. They're good files. And everything after that point basically is an unmitigated disaster in nesting. And I gave them feedback strongly this time with a lot of examples from inserting files not working right to nest to, every time you make a change or like the packaging, which I would call material, doesn't stick, so that I have to reset it up every time I use it, to making reports, but you have to do it for each material and thickness size. So I have 4 materials and thicknesses, so I have to do 4 separate reports. When the reports come out, they have, I would say something like 2-point font labels on them. So it's basically unreadable for Ricky or I. And then just like an absolute massive data dump of things that nobody really needs otherwise, but we can't just get like the layout of the sheets readable. The labels, what I really was going to comment on, were unusable last time, and I fixed them with like Claude in like a static way. So like I just fixed that one job and reprocessed them with Claude. This time I was like, well, I'm going to have to do this again probably, and it's not getting better. So I had it make a Python script that I can now dump out labels as an HTML file, and it reprocesses them, styles them better, cuts out all the crap that doesn't work. Like one part file label would turn from the standard out of Fusion thing, it would turn into like 3 different labels. Like the material would be on one label, the like size. And I just like, I tried to edit their original file and it's just not good. Did not put enough time into it. So anyway, I have a moderate solution, but it's still infuriating. And I would love other solutions. I've thought about Mapboards, but it really doesn't work for multiple files like this that I can tell very well. But yeah, I don't know.
How many parts in the project?
Almost 200.
Sounds like a lot, but ish. Yeah, okay. Not really a Mapboards thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have an off the top of my head solution, really. Like I've run into all the same problems with big jobs, with the nesting extension. I mean, in many ways, it's fantastic in terms of what it's capable of.
The actual nesting works all right.
But I remember we did it. Yeah, we did a big job a couple of years ago now for an amazing synthesizer studio. We were making all the like the stands to mount all the synths to, and it was like, well, something like an $80,000 job. Like it was a lot, a lot of
Right.
material, a lot of parts, and we got to the end of the job and we're like, it was big enough that nobody really knew it
Sure, yeah.
fully. No one on the team could kind of look at it and go, oh, that doesn't seem quite right. And we got to the end of it, we're like, we overcut this job massively, but also there's all these parts are missing. So we'd overcut a whole bunch of things, like eaten up a whole lot of material, and then it came down to errors in the nesting. Basically, like files that were included but hadn't been nested, and then other files that had like duplicated, triplicated in terms of part count.
Your
for
original
whatever
files have to be
reason. I'm
perfect.
sure we were at making errors
in terms
as well.
of what it wants.
Yeah.
It has to have a single part and a single component that's not nested, or otherwise it won't warn you. It just will make a disaster out of it. It won't, it'll keep them together. It won't nest them. So, like I said, the client's files were actually great. They know how to, the last time they did this almost perfectly. But same problems. It's so oblique as to like what's happening to like get your grain orientations right. So I don't know. I'm not going to just sit here and just constantly bash them, but I'm just so frustrated with having spent so much time being a part of it. And now it just feels like we're done. Like we're not going to fix it anymore, which is, it's a weird feeling because everything else that I have experience with in the manufacturing space, I don't know. I love a lot of people I've worked with there, but I'm just so frustrated with the state. It is just, it's been years and it's just basically unusable in a lot of ways. So
it has been years now, hasn't it? I loved your comment during the week of like someone needs to spin up
we need an alternative,
an affordable but quality alternative.
I mean, Mapboards is great, but it's just, it's got limits that it needs to be. I understand too that like a one-time payment of $30 does not pay for how much time probably needs to be put in continuously to like make it work. So I get, and it probably needs a subscription, but like to go from something
$30 a month would be
right.
fine.
How many of us would pay that, right? And I'm saying this on a public space where I've thought about like, hey, I could probably find a way to make this happen. I don't know that I have the bandwidth at this point to make an outside external nesting tool too, but I would be probably a subscriber if somebody, even the Mapboards guy, wanted to try and extend his product.
That'd be super interesting if you could develop something that's sat completely external to
just pulled
Fusion
API
or
strings,
any other software, and you just, or even you just feed it step assembly.
That's
step
fine
files,
too, right?
And it just goes, sucks it all in and goes, and then you can dump that back into Fusion.
I've said this probably here before, but we working nesting in only Grasshopper. The algorithm to nest is not. All the edge cases make it complicated, and like what TrueNest was what they use and Fusion bought to use is good. It's a great nesting tool, but it's everything around it. It's honestly Fusion that probably vastly complicates the whole timeline and like versioning and nested files and like multiple files and files and all that kind of stuff. That anyway. Next, if anybody wants.
Your chat about...
sorry, one more thought. If anybody wants to try out my little Python script to reprocess labels, I will share it with you. It's nothing crazy, but it works.
I was going to ask you about labels. I want to try it because I have a label idea. Question. I was poking around in Airtable. No, before I was in Airtable, I was in the shop. I was doing some ordering, and I was ordering a little drywall screw thing yesterday. And I found one of our old QR codes in the box of where we'd run out of this part. And so I spun up the old barcode scanner because I couldn't find the part number for Hayfully, and spun up the barcode scanner, went blip, and took me straight to Airtable with all the product information, part number, price, etc. that Jay had built when they built out all of our Airtable QR stuff. And so then that kind of led me to sort of poking around in Airtable, looking at like, oh wow, there's QR codes for pretty much everything we order ever. It's all just sitting there. And I went to like that annoying weird function in Airtable. What's it called? Like the printer
Yes.
in
Page
extensions
designer.
where you can like
Right.
that page so dingy. That
Where you got to
bloody page
zoom the whole
design.
page in to like edit it. That's how we make like all of our labels still. It's crazy.
Horrible. But well, this is why I ask you, because I thought you'd be good at this. I've hit a bit of a roadblock of like, I'd like to reprint some of these, but honestly, I don't know how to output them successfully in any quantity to like get them back on my dymo.
It's a pain in the
I need
butt.
to
And we have
fiddle with
help
it some more,
documents that still aren't helpful at times. Part of what our software project we've been working on is to help solve some of these problems because it's too hard. It's too hard to do, and it should be easier.
It's too hard.
I can I can show you what
Absolutely.
we do anyway. It's nothing crazy. It's
Yeah. Cool. All right. Offline chat. I'm a bit curious as to what your workflow is there. The other thing I built this week was this weird, I promise it's not a sex toy.
that's
It's
fair.
a dowel dipping contraption, as I described last week. I just sent you a picture on Slack. It's a little birch plywood box with a membrane with a hole in it. For listeners, it's an open-sided box, and on the front of it, it's got a table tennis rubber, which seems essential to the process, with a hole punched through it, and you can get a long stick of dowel and squeeze it through the hole, and it clear coats your stick, and it works really well. It works beautifully. It's a really nice process.
Oh, daddy.
So it's been a
I'm gonna need some
recent
videos of that
success.
probably.
Yeah, I'll make a little video about it because it's pretty fun. And I got a bit carried away yesterday and just like kept putting the stick through it, coat after coat.
I'll never
Just
outgrow
getting glassier
my-
and glassier.
immaturity, but there's also some liquid. Is it not dried yet, or is that the wax dripping off of your box there?
Oh yeah, no, it's dripping. It's dripping. Yep.
Okay, yeah, I
Yep.
love the solution.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So yeah, with that, it's making progress on that new coding solution. So had a few people, listeners of the pod, thank you, reach out during the week and give their 2 cents on the strength issue I was having with hot wax treatment. And the Honourable Rob Lockwood, in fact, reached out and made a really good
Sure,
point,
Rob.
which I don't think is specifically the issue, Sir Rob, but super interesting. He was like, if you add, any form of lubricant to a thread, it's going to increase the amount of force you can
Oh, right.
put through
Yeah.
it. And therefore, you're going to be able to break it more easily if it's lubricated. And I was like, damn,
Right.
good point. Yeah, totally. I can see how that works. And I think in this instance, it is like it's very clearly weakening the timber. And someone else, Patrick, also sent a message saying he's worked with a bunch of those. What's it called when they like do the heat treatment to timbers to
Oh.
make them like more
Yeah.
weatherproof,
Just
like carbonization or something.
I want to say
Carbonization.
carbonization.
Yeah,
Something like that.
they basically cook the crap out of them until all the lignin changes state and it becomes a more stable timber. And he was saying he's worked with some of those timbers and they're noticeably more brittle, fragile as a result of that process. So good to have sort of that
Makes
verified
sense, yeah.
to some extent by
Right.
other people. So we are moving to that new crafted hardwood
Yeah.
dowel stock, the laminated, where they grow a tree in a machine out of veneers, and then kind of simulating 100-year-old hardwood timber stock by using low-grade pulp veneers stuck together. Just placed our first production order for about 500 meters of that stock, which will come in a month or so. So yeah, super excited about switching,
Very
trying
cool.
something new. Done a bunch of machining tests and clear coating tests this week just to like double check that we're making the right call. But
Should you just send it to some people and say, like, just abuse the hell out of this? I feel like I don't do that enough, you know? Like, because it's you are so like
idea.
Even today we will have a dust boot brush last twice as long as our customers, and it's part of it's probably that we don't run it quite as much, but also we know how it fails, and so we appropriately coddle it, basically, I think, and that will forever be one of my biggest, so far, hopefully biggest gaffes of just like that I didn't see that coming, that big failure of not testing it outside of our shop. But not that you're not doing that. I always like to remind maker friends that have somebody else try that shit.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah, I feel like I've been a happy user and abuser of your dust boots. In fact, the Multicam Australia technician was here yesterday servicing both our machines. A really nice guy, and he loves your dust boots. He recommends them to a lot of their customers, apparently.
I will give him referrals all day long if he give me his name.
Yeah, he is. He really likes what we do. He likes what you're making, and he's quite happy to sort of talk up like butter in PDX CNC products. And but he had a spindle off yesterday, and I hadn't chatted to him yet, and I walked out and the spindle was off the machine, just like
CNC is decapitated.
So I was like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
Right.
Hope it's okay. So I'm just doing a really deep clean, get all the grease out of the
that is terrifying.
Z-axis and start again. And but nice to have the machines refreshed. And it, I've denied over the years, as you know, about like whether we should be doing the servicing. And when I see them going to that level of detail, I'm like, I'm glad you guys do this.
Yeah.
It's not always just a boost, a quick grease nipple top up and
grease
clean.
The nipples.
You guys are actually being quite thorough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. I ran into a friend around town here. Actually, they were helping us with a project, and the kind of like gossip of another shop that was well known. I didn't know the story, but have I mentioned here that we had like a big renovation of our airport here, actual PDX? That's where the namesake for
I think
PDX AMC kind of comes from, as we coined a lot of things in town PDX after the airport, right?
PDX. I don't know if it was from you. I heard about the airport and I shed a tear for the old carpet.
It's still there?
Because, I'm a big 99.
So it's not the original. It was so old they had to like redo it. And then when they redid it again, because they replaced the carpet, and the 99 PI did a story. And so they've done a new version of it. And they kept very intentionally, they put in sections in this new renovation. Basically, it's like Instagram spots, or because people go take their photos with their shoes on the carpet. It's just kind of a 80s styled swoopy carpet. Anyway, it's an amazing space. Like, I am very proud that it's in our city. Like, they used like really small radius around Portland, local and like native sourcing of the lumber. So it's like very sustainably harvested, to do this amazing roof detail instead of like just painting or like tin or something on the underside. It's like this big, swoopy, sexy, local, I think ZGF did it in town, really good architect. It's an amazing space. They have all these like trees and plants, and we have amazing food there. But the story that I came to tell was one of the well-known kind of like bigger versions of my shop, when we do mostly job shop work, seems to have been killed by the airport project. And I think it's a good lesson, as I was talking to this friend, of I always viewed them as like one of the top few bigger shops that could take on all types of things. And I actually talked to them at one point about trying to make desks when I first moved here. Seemed like great people to work with on a lot of stuff, but they took it on. It was such a big project, and it got delayed that to keep everything going, they kept having to like dig in further and further. And I guess by the end, I probably just exhausted them, honestly, for one side of it. But like, you know, they are not a big corporation. They're a team of maybe 15 normally, but probably grew for this project. But it took years, so seems to have put them under, which is just sad.
Eesh. Yeah. What is sad? The risks of mega
Right.
projects.
I know this is a lot of gossip. I don't know the full true story. I just friend of a friend telling me about it. But
No, sure.
good lesson. I mean, we've had both of those, like kind of the one job that we
Totally.
both swerved on. That was my immediate thought was, damn, I'm so glad I backed out of that, because that was the same kind of job of like, this is committing so much time and production time and then potentially getting delayed and then not having any income in that time period because you've put everything else off is such a trap.
Totally. Yeah. Really challenging thing to navigate as a business. Those sorts of jobs. Not that we've ever had anything that big, but we've had certainly some meaty ones that have done significantly that have done some damage to the business for sure, just because of the way they drag and the scale and how much they suck in. Yeah. Oh, I thought I was going to have a question for our Shopify professionals out there, the ones that make brooms.
So many of them.
But I solved it myself, I think. Since I wrote that note, I have packaged my filthy, simple HTML into a liquid container in my Shopify theme. And I think I got it working. I was trying to work it. Previously, I tried to host just a plain HTML file in Shopify and couldn't work out how to do it. You can't just dump it into a page. You've got to make like
a file
thing you can't just host a file, as far as I can tell, in Shopify. Not that sort of file anyway. And so I was trying to work out how to sort of I put it in the theme editor where you edit your code.
Yep.
If you go to like themes,
you can upload files
edit
there.
code, and I made a new liquid template, and I dumped into the HTML and repackaged it a little bit, and it's working. And I've reskinned the configurator. It's no longer a GeoCities tribute.
Okay.
I've tried to make it slightly more
skins
Winner.
contemporary, but it's now skinned up in Shopify, and so I can start working on the like add to cart functionality, I think.
Something's
which I'm excited about.
Something's whack with it when I load it. Wait.
How whack?
So is it -1?
How whack, baby?
There's a pop-up that's not loading.
It is -1
in my view, and I use Brave tends to do these things. I think it's there, but it's like being hidden. Kill the shields up.
Good to know.
Yeah, there it goes. So now I can see it.
Let's just debug this live. Sounds good.
Yeah. No, that's looks. I like the style. It fits your. Oh, damn! Look at the bottom row. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it means I can continue to develop within that environment, which I think will be useful as I add cart stuff. I was using TinyHost just to temporarily host the HTML files as I was fiddling with it, but
I'll have to play with this.
Yeah, so it's been fun. I've been working on that a bit. I was looking up how long I've got before I need to consider rolling this over in terms of my commitment to the other platform, and I've still got a while. It wasn't until sort of May that I signed up properly, so I've still got a few months to continue to faff around and decide what to do.
Right.
But
yeah, that's good. I mean, you're on the path. I mean, it's not quite working, but like that's so much. Honestly, I think it just might be better. It's just so simple.
I just love the control of just, being able to quickly jump in
and the price is right there. Yeah.
Some functionality or button or, add a component. That's the big one, I think, because the kit of parts is going to continue to develop and morph and change and improve. And so being able to jump in there at no expense and being able to add some functionality is like.
Did you end up using Cursor to
I think John just
extend it to keep moving forward?
Yeah.
Very
that's
nice.
all Cursor.
Looks nice.
Yeah. Yep. Very happy with cursor. I did go around in circles briefly yesterday and had to sort of jump out into into chatty, get it to solve it and then bring the solution back. But yeah, generally speaking, I've been really happy with it.
I've had a lot of problems with...
I think John just got to work because I can hear him warming up his table tennis serves.
I hear the table tennis. That's funny.
Do you?
Only really real thing I have is the same guy that was... The reason I was watching the upload thing guy was... I've seen a few people talk about this. Do you use like Alfred at all for Mac? That little wizardy thing. It's like I think the simplest way to say it is like a alternative to using, what is that called? Spotlight search, where you push Command spacebar and then you can search. I do my math there a lot for like trying to figure out a percentage, or you just type in, it solves the answer right there. But forever I've used Option space as Alfred, and Alfred can do a whole lot of things depending on if you pay for it or not. And I never did pay for it, where like you can search for all of the files in your computer or an app, or if I just start typing and it looks like a Google search, it'll say ask Google, and then you push enter and it opens up in the browser. It's all these kind of like little hacky things that you wouldn't be surprised that I'm into. And it would seem that Raycast is a better version of that. Like really great, cool things that Alfred doesn't do. And honestly, it's not worth trying to describe all the little things. I think if you're into... I think they might actually have a Windows version too. A Windows waitlist, but it's for Mac. There's a free version that seems to be really great. So I'm trying it out and it seems pretty great. Like you can like make shortcuts to apps, as well as like if I start typing like calendar, instead of getting the Apple calendar, I can make that be the busy cal that I normally use. All these other little, there's a whole like store for it, for all these extensions. So yeah, stuff that I like.
Okay, I'll check it out. I know you like your little icons across the top of your...
I'm gonna run out of room.
Mac, don't you? Yeah. Cool. Good tip. I'll check it out. Thanks.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, well, I guess that's it for another week, isn't it?
Yes.
Goodbye. Flibbity gibbet. Goodbye.
Bye.
See you next time.
That first one might be real messed up.